Hi everyone. Let's talk about this word problem. This came off one of our recent tests and it caused people a lot of confusion. So let's talk about some of the things that were confusing and maybe how to set it up so that it's not confusing and how to look at our answers so that it makes sense to us. All right, it says here that AJ buys 1.7 pounds of apples. Right, so there's a number. I've got to write that down or underline that. That's an important idea. Pounds of Fuji apples. Now, Fuji apples doesn't really matter. Could have been oranges, could have been dog food. Doesn't matter. He bought 1.7 pounds of something. And in math, we're going to kind of focus on the numbers here. All right, so they're on sale for 50 cents. 50 cents per pound. Now, I know per means one. So for 1 pound, 50 cents for 1 pound. And then I see here a question word. What is his bill? What is his bill? So this is the question. I'm going to be really aware of that. There's a question mark at the end. That really helps me identify it. I'm going to go back and read this again. AJ buys 1 7/10 pounds of Fuji apples that are on sale for 50 cents per pound. What is his bill? All right, it's worth reading things over and over and over again, right? Don't just stop the first time and say, I don't get it. Because of course you don't get it the first time. You've got to look at all the pieces and parts. All right, I'm trying to figure out how much money this kid owes. It also says, think, will a ratio help me make a plan to solve? And I think that threw a lot of people off. But the problem is, when you have these three numbers up here, people aren't sure if they should multiply or they should divide or what they should multiply by. Should they multiply 1.7 times 50 cents? Should they multiply 50 cents times 1 and divide by 1.7. People just kind of reach for all kinds of things. And we want you not to do that, right? You got to slow your roll there, right? Calm down. Read it again. And with word problems, we really encourage you to set up ratios, right? So remember, with ratios, there's two important ideas. That there's going to be one ratio that you know, right? I know. That's right. I know. And then another ratio that you wonder about. I wonder, right? And that's what you're trying to figure out. I wonder how much he owes. Isn't that the question? What's his bill? I wonder how much he has to pay. I wonder what is his bill? Question mark. And remember, it's going to be a ratio, right? So what's his bill for what? What did he buy? Well, apples, right? So we're going to figure out, this is probably going to be for how many apples he buys, right? Apples. Or maybe you could write pounds, P for pounds, right? How much did it cost him for all those apples, right? Well, let's see what we know here. I know that he bought 1.7 pounds of Fuji apples. I know that they're on sale for 50 cents per pound. So what goes together? Does the 50 cents per pound go together, or does the 1.7 pounds go with 50 cents? What two numbers go together here? Well, if you can imagine what one of these little signs says over here, look at these little signs in the picture. What do you think they say? They say that things cost 50 cents per pound. Right, so that's two numbers that go together. 1 pound costs 50 cents. Sometimes I see people doing this. 1.7 pounds costs 50 cents, or it goes with 50 cents. And I say, why did you put those two numbers together? 1.7 pounds doesn't cost 50 cents. And they said, well, they're the only two numbers that I see up here. Right? Well, remember, this per is 1. 50 cents for 1 pound. 50 cents for 1 pound. So this is not right. People say, oh, but they're the two numbers in the problem. They're not. Right? There's other information in that problem. So let's erase that. Let's get that out of our minds. All right, so they're 50 cents for 1 pound. I wonder, how much does it cost him for, well, this has to be pounds. How many pounds did he buy? Oh, he bought 1.7 pounds. 1.7 pounds. So let's just double check if we have this right. Is it 50 cents? I know that apples cost 50 cents for 1 pound. I wonder how much money he has to pay when he buys 1.7 pounds. That fits the story. So now when we have this set up, we know that these two proportions are going to, or these two ratios are going to be proportionate. They're going to be like equivalent fractions. The only question is, what am I going to multiply by here? So I know it's going to be a multiplication problem. The money can't turn into a question mark. I don't know this other number over here. But 1 can turn into 1.7. And what am I going to multiply 1 by to make it equal 1.7? Well, any number, and this we try to stress this in class, once you know the unit rate, this 1 is really powerful, because any number times 1 turns out to be itself. So we're going to multiply 1 times 1.7, and we'll get 1.7 pounds. 1 pound, 1.7 times 1.7 is 1.7 pounds. And so we'll multiply this number by 1.7, and that will tell us how much money he owes. So let's go ahead and do that, right? Let's set up that multiplication problem. 1.7 times 50 cents. And here we go. 0 times 7 is 0. 0 times 1 is 0. I'm multiplying in the tens place, so I'll put a 0 here. And 5 times 7 is 35. I'll carry the 3. 5 times 1 is 5. 6, 7, 8. And a lot of people got this answer, which is, sort of correct. $850. Let me erase this here. We'll put in 850. And some people were happy with that, and some people felt like that's weird, right? He didn't even buy 2 pounds of apples, and it cost $850. And they said, oh yeah, that's right, it's money, so I'll put a decimal right here. $8.50 for 1 7/10 pounds of apples. And that's where most people ended up. But that should seem weird too. Hey, so let's just take a little look here. Here's 1 pound of apples. Let's just call that 1 pound of apples. That should cost 50 cents. Let me get another pound of apples here. 2 pounds of apples. That would cost another 50 cents. If I add these up, that would be $1 for 2 pounds of apples. Why on earth does it cost $8.50 for this? This is less than 2 pounds. That answer is wrong also. So let's go back. I think our decimal's in the wrong spot. Let's go back here. This is 1.7 pounds. This is 50 cents, right? It started as 50 hundredths. And you can even see the decimal up here in the question. So there should be 1, 2, 3 places in my answer. 1, 2, 3 decimal places in my answer. Right? So the decimal should be over here and not right here. And again, people were uncomfortable with this. They said, how can you have 850 cents? That doesn't make sense. You're right. You're absolutely right. We don't. We only have 85 cents. Cents is the hundredths place, right? So this 0 thousandths, we just don't need to show that at all. It's 85 cents, right? 85 thousandths equals 85 hundredths. So there you go. It turns out to be 85 cents. 2 things to keep in mind. 1, set up your ratios that will help you figure out what numbers to multiply. That's a really, really important idea. And 2, if you're dealing with money, right, make sure that you have the decimal showing the hundredths place. 50 cents would be right there.